Good morning, good morning, good morning. Miles here. Welcome to Master Coach. Welcome to your Master Coach certification. Very, very, very excited to have you here. As you can tell, I'm not live with you today, but I will be popping in and I will be live with you all day tomorrow and for the majority of day two. But very, very excited for you and what you're going to be experiencing over this next 3 days. What I wanted to do first is I want to kind of to set up the scene, set the scene for you so that you know what to expect over the next 3 days and so that you can really prepare yourself in terms of your timings, in terms of your mentality, and really let you know what to expect and what's going to happen over what is going to be an absolutely freaking amazing, incredible, transformational 3 days. So today, day one, you're going to be going through the art of coaching. We're going to be looking at the master steps of coaching, the psychology of coaching, how to sell coaching. You're going to be actually practicing coaching today, and you're also going to get coached. Obviously, the fundamental part of coaching is we've got to coach and we've got to get coached. And we've got to understand what coaching really is. And we've really got to understand how to do it well. So we're really going to be focusing on that here today. Tomorrow, you're going to be spending the entire day with me. We're going to be looking at the business of coaching, starting with how to market your coaching. For those of you that want to take this out into the world and serve people and make a difference and transform lives, I'm going to be teaching you the roadmap to earn £100,000 in your first 12 months as a coach. I'm going to be teaching you about niching, pricing, marketing mistakes I've made, marketing lessons I've learned. And then we're going to spend a lot of time as well where I'm going to be doing some deep dive one-to-one mentoring sessions where I'm going to get really deep into where you're at right now so that you really know what you need to know when you leave this training. And then day number 3, we're going to be teaching you what the top 1% of coaches do different, high performance coaching habits. You're going to have Ask Miles Anything Q&A. So obviously over the course of the 3 days, you're probably going to build up a bank of questions. We're going to have a full-on time for Q&A. There's probably going to be some mentoring hot seats as well. And then we're going to be finishing with the certification celebration and then the next steps. So what we're really going to be looking at over the next 3 days is the lifestyle coach method, which you'll be reminded of. You learned about this on our foundation training. 5 things that we need to know and do to have a successful coaching business and practice that helps people, that makes a great difference, that gives us financial security, stability, and also a great lifestyle. 5 things that we need to know and do. Number 1, we need our own coach. Every coach needs a coach. We've got to have the work. We've got to be doing the work on ourselves. Number 2, we need a system, a process, a roadmap, a methodology. We call this the Serve and Transform coaching system. The best in the world, the Tony Robbinses of this world, always use a system. They always use a framework. They always use a methodology. If you want to be in the top percentile of coaches, you've got to have a system. We're going to be working through that today. 3, we need to know how to market. We need to know how to fill our diary with potential prospects. I'm going to be teaching you all about that on day 2. Number 4, we need to know how to sell our coaching. We're going to be teaching you that straight away on day 1 so that we can get that out of the way. Because at the end of the day, if we don't know how to sell our coaching, well, then we're not going to be able to help anybody. So we've got to know how to do that. And we're going to teach you how to do that today. You're going to get to practice that and you're going to get to be coached through that as well. And then number 5 rather, is you need to know how to scale your coaching so that you can serve not just one-to-one, but also one-to-many. Because at the end of the day, if you want to help an unlimited amount of people, if you want to earn an unlimited amount of income, but do it in a minimal amount of time, we've got to know how to do group coaching. We're going to be teaching you how to do that in this 3 days as well. So let's get in to the first thing that I want to be teaching you here today. Once we've been through this, we're going to be going out into your breakout rooms and we're going to be doing what is going to be the main body of work for today, which is going to be your coaching. You're going to get coached and be coached. So you're going to get coached and do coaching. Sorry, too much coffee for me today. So I want to take you through first the 5 master steps of coaching. This is really the psychology of coaching. This is really going to help you when you go out into your breakout rooms. This is really going to help you to understand what it is that you're doing and ultimately why you're doing it. So you want to make notes. So when it comes to coaching, there are 5 master steps. Rookie coaches do not get these master steps right. And if you don't get these master steps right, often what happens is you find a coach 6 months in, 12 months in, 3 years in, says, you know, I've heard it said many times, hey, I did a coaching certification once, but I didn't really use it. I didn't get any joy out of it. I didn't help any people with it. And that's kind of sad, because I know that most people, the reason why they want to do this is they want to help people. But the most successful coaches in the world, they know these points and they live these points. And if you live these points, you will, I believe, will inevitably be successful. So 5 things that we're going to go through. Number 1 is deep listening. Number 2 is eliciting. I'll break down what that means. Number 3 is about challenging your client. Number 4 is about leading your client. And number 5 is about having the right strategy. So number 1, we're going to look at deep listening. And I think actually to illustrate this point, let me play a quick video for you, which I think beautifully illustrates that there's a difference between hearing and listening. Here we go. Check this out.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
Yeah, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. Ow. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can go?
Every time I see that video, it makes me laugh. So here's the key thing that we need to know about listening, is that when we are as a coach, it's so important that we're present. One of the things I really want to highlight straight out of the gate is the big difference between coaching and mentoring. Mentoring is about giving advice. Coaching is about listening. And it's really important that straight off the gate, what that means is it's about you being present. So the first rule of being present, the first rule of deep listening is about being present. And what that means is when you're with a client, be with the client. Don't be on your phone. Don't be on WhatsApp. Be fully present with your client. Next, this is probably one of my favorite things, and probably is the thing that I think has helped me differentiate myself from other coaches out there. This is a thing that a lot of rookie coaches struggle with. You've got to be comfortable with silence. What that means is when a client speaks, you want to make sure that you leave plenty of space after they speak. Here's why. In fact, let me demonstrate. So let's imagine that I've said to a client, old school question, Susan, what is it you really, really, really want? And I'm asking that, Susan, intentionally to be vague and ambiguous. That can be about anything in your life. I don't want to narrow it down. I really just want you to say, what is it you really, really want? You see, that's a big question. And the person may not answer straight away. And what rookie coaches do is if there's a silence, they step on it. They try and fill the silence with something else because they're not comfortable with the silence. Here's why the most successful coaches in the world are the most successful coaches in the world. They're comfortable with silence. And the beautiful thing is when you give the client space, you straight away differentiate yourself from everybody in their life. Because let me ask you, team, have you ever had the experience of being in a conversation with a person and you can tell they're just waiting to respond? Like they're not really listening to what you're saying. They're just waiting to respond. That's what a lot of rookie coaches do. They're just waiting for the next thing to say in their framework or their system. Here's the beautiful thing about the coaching system. You don't need to think about what to say because you've got a template, a framework that gives you the next thing to say, which actually means that you should be able to be more comfortable with the silence because you know you don't need to think, oh my God, what am I going to say next? Because there's a sheet there that will tell you and give you some clues as to where you can go next. I regularly have clients, I leave that much space after they say something. Like, let's say a client says something like, what I really want more than anything, Miles, is just to spend more time with my kids. Here's what a rookie coach will do. Yeah, that sounds good. Like having more time with your kids. I understand why you would say that, blah, blah, blah. That's what rookie coaches would do. Here's what the most successful coaches in the world will do. What I really want, Miles, is just to spend more time with my kids. That sounds big. How does it feel saying that? I might say something like that. Sometimes in the past, when I've worked with somebody for the first time, they've even said, Miles, are you still there? To which I've said, yeah, I am. I'm just, what you said sounded really, really meaningful for you. And I didn't want to just talk about something else. I wanted to allow you to feel what you've said. Because here's what happens in a person's brain, by the way, team. A person has a breakthrough or a thought or an insight that is powerful for them. When the words come out of their mouth, their thinking about what they've said is a few seconds behind. And if you tread on it by talking, you diminish the quality of the breakthrough. Most rookie coaches aren't comfortable with the silence. Next, when you are good at listening, when you're really being present, when you're being comfortable with the silence, that will build safety and trust. You want to build safety and trust because the more a person feels safe with you, the more inclined they are to want to work with you. And not in a way like they feel codependent on you. What we're not looking to do, and I'll explain about this more in the next few steps, we're not looking to create codependency, but we do want the client to feel really safe. So we do want to let the client know that anything they share here will be kept confidential, unless we feel maybe that a person's life is at risk. If somebody's life is at risk, then obviously we're a duty to tell the police, etc. But what I mean is if somebody's sharing things in confidentiality about themselves and their relationships and any childhood, those things, they need to know that those things will be kept confidential. Next, be curious. So what this means is the scripts and the frameworks that you've got are just a guide. They're not there for you to paraphrase verbatim. So somebody might say to me, yeah, let's use that one again. I just want more time with my kids. I might say something like, I'm curious, Susan. If you had more time with your kids, how would your life look different? Or I might say something like, I'm curious, Susan, when you were a kid growing up, did you have as much time with your parents as you would have wanted? So these are questions that are not part of the framework. They're questions that they can't be planned. They've just got to be felt. If you feel a calling to ask a question that's not part of the framework, ask it. If you're genuinely curious about a person, ask it. And then when you're listening, listen for insight. Kind of goes back to the video. It's not about the nail. It's a silly video, but the point being is that the person was trying to highlight the fact that they were saying, hey, the problem is not the problem, it's something else. And often what we fail to realize sometimes as coaches is that sometimes what a person's talking about isn't really the issue. Like, for example, I've had clients that have said, oh yeah, when I hit my goals, life will be great, or some version of that, right? And I will listen to that, but I know that that's probably not the full story, because I know enough about human needs to understand that people don't really want what they want. What they want is the feeling they think the thing will give them. But if you're only listening to the words that they say, you'll never pick that kind of thing up. This is why having your own coach is really important. This is why we're going to make sure that you're coached over the course of today, because the more that you lean into your own insights, the more confidence it will give you to listen for others. Stephen Covey says most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Okay, number 2, eliciting. First, you want to challenge people on their dreams and their fears. What that means is you want to get comfortable asking people what is it that they really, really want, and what is it that is their greatest fear. The coaching framework, the coaching system is really, really going to help you to do that. Most people are 5 times more motivated away from their fears, away from pain, than they are towards pleasure. So we want to get really clear. We want to really figure out what is a person most afraid of, and also what is it that they really, really want. We also want to acknowledge their untapped gifts. So when a person says something or does something that you think is good, then you want to tell them, because in every single person that you coach, there's a child in there, right? There's an inner child in there. I do a lot of inner child work myself. And I have a shadow work coach, an inner child coach that I work with. And if you hear somebody say something and you think that was worth acknowledging, then tell them, wow, Susan, I just want to kind of acknowledge how beautiful I think it is that you really clearly care about the people that you work with. And I think that often gets overlooked. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for that. Next, they're hidden thinking. One of my favorite coaching questions, you want to write this down. It isn't in the framework, but it's one you want to write down. One of my mentors many years ago said to me, Miles, he said, Miles, what don't you want most people to know about you? I love that question. What don't I want most people to know about me? And what that will do, that type of question, is it will reveal a person's hidden thinking. What we want to do is we want to get the person to be more honest with themselves about what they think about that they don't maybe speak about. Because actually, whether you're into chakras or not, when a person has like thinking that is hidden, or words inside themselves that are hidden, what often happens is that blocks either their combination of their heart and their throat chakra. Like as a kid growing up, I was very talkative. And then I got to like 10, 12, 13 years old, and I became very withdrawn. And because I was modeling my mum, who really didn't talk a lot about what she was feeling. And it wasn't until I had therapy and started to join men's groups and had a lot of coaching that I was able to start to now get to the point where I now talk a lot. And actually, there's not a lot now that I think about that I don't speak about. And therefore, I'm much more clear and much more open. And I'm able to be more vulnerable, and I'm able to build better relationships with people because I'm more the real me. But a lot of people don't get the chance to express that. And the coaching framework is going to really help you with that. Follows on with their stories. We want to help people tap into their stories. We're also going to get people to be aware that their stories are just stories and that they're not actually truth. There's a big difference between a story or a belief and the truth. It's true that we need oxygen to breathe. It's true that we're going to die one day. That's a morbid message, isn't it? Whether we believe we can or can't do something is a belief. And we want to be catching people in their stories. So like, for example, a common story I hear people say is, I'm just not good at ABC. And so what I often do is I will challenge them and say, is that true? And if you've ever studied the work of Byron Katie, there's many different questions. One starts with, is that true? And then follows on to other questions. But the key is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a person to realize that they are not their thoughts. Joe Dispenza wrote a great book on this called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And in the book, he's highlighting the fact that we are not our thoughts. Our thoughts are just stories. And we create an identity around our stories. One person, I remember a time many years ago where I had a story which was, I'm no good at public speaking because I'd never really done it. And now, the reason I'm not live with you right now is because I'm currently out at another speaking engagement. And there'll be sort of 100 people in the room. And that is now a regular thing. 2-3 times a week, I'm speaking in front of 120, 130, 140 people. And I don't think. I don't now have the same story because my identity has shifted. But the only way that shifted is because I was coached to see that I'm not my thoughts. And we've got to do that with our clients too. And so that follows on really similar kind of points said a different ways. We want to challenge their worldview. We want to get them to think differently about their point of view. In NLP, they talk about the map of the world. And I think a lot of people are living in one particular town or city, metaphorically speaking, meaning they have one worldview. And then maybe if they go somewhere else, it can shift their worldview. For example, one person's worldview might be rain is miserable weather if you live in the West, if you live in England. But another person may have the story, the worldview that rain is the solution to a drought. So we want to be aware of our worldview. We want to challenge them on their worldview. Number 3, challenge. We want to 10x their thinking. Grant Cardone wrote a great book called The 10x Rule. If you've not read it, highly recommend you do. Whole point of the book is to think 10 times bigger. The great thing is there is a coaching session in this program, in this system, which is all about 10xing your client's thinking. You're going to love that session. I built it based on that book from Cardone. It's a really, really phenomenal session. We want to get them to think bigger than they currently think. So if a person said, I really want to start running, we want to say to them, in the 10x session, it might challenge them to think about what would it be like if you were to be able to run a marathon. And initially, they may run the story about why they can't do that. But if we coach them right, you never know, we could have this person running a marathon. And just to be clear, the purpose of that is not to actually get the person to run a marathon. It's just to 10x the thinking. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to think different, because the only way people can really change is if they first make a change inside of their mind. That's what we've got to do. Which leads into the next thing, which is really about getting them to set impossible goals. Most people think the purpose of a goal is to obtain a goal. Here's what I believe. The purpose of a goal is not to obtain a goal. The purpose of a goal is to grow. And so if the purpose of a goal is to grow, what we want to do is we want to focus on growth, not on goals. Most people set a goal that they know they can hit, only to be disappointed when they realize that that goal didn't give them growth. So we want to focus on challenging people to start to do things that are completely outside of their comfort zone. Because the life that we want, the goals that we want, the dreams that we want are not going to come from us inside of our comfort zone. We've got to get out of our comfort zone. We want to challenge our clients to do that. We've got to do that ourselves. Easier to do this if we're doing it ourselves. Next, if you want to challenge them on their human need order. Most people, Tony Robbins, according to Tony Robbins, we have 6 human needs. Most people's primary human need is certainty. Most people's primary human need is certainty and safety, and that comes back to childhood. What we've got to do is we've got to get people thinking about having growth and contribution. You want to write those down. Growth and contribution as their core needs. Because here's what I've learned. When we're focused on growing and when we're focused on serving other people, what often happens is all our other needs get met. I've found that the happiest people in the world are focused on growing and they're focused on supporting and serving other people. Followed by that is love. So you want to be focused on growing, giving, and loving. If your coaching practice is built on a need for certainty, I need clients so that I can have the life that I want, it will be hard. If you focused on, I want to grow, I want to serve, I just want to love people, just want to make a difference, it'll be a lot easier, because your energy is then not about what you're going to get. Your energy is about what can you give. Next, I love this. We want to slow their roll. What that means is, think of it this way. If you're in traffic, back-to-back, picture this, imagine this, you're in back-to-back traffic on the motorway, bumper to bumper, and you hit the accelerator, what happens? You crash, right? Most people in life are too fast. So what we want to do is we want to slow people down. So if somebody comes into a coaching session with me and they're in a fast energy, I will slow them down. I'll maybe get them to do some meditative breathing. At the same time, some people, if they're slow, we want to speed them up. and we want to maybe interrupt their pattern, and we want to have some fun. So here's an example of this. These two kind of go hand in hand. Here's a tip for you. When I get on the phone with a client, if they're in a low vibration, what I tend to do, this is what I've done historically, if they're physically unable to do so, I'll get them out of their seat and I'll get them to do 30 star jumps, like literally on the spot. Like, Susan, I'm wondering if you can, before we get into coaching, I'm wondering if you can stand up for me. And here's what we're going to do. We'll do it together. We're going to do 30 star jumps. We'll do it together. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Susan will do the star jumps, and then I'll say at the end, I'll say, Susan, how do you sit down? You can take a seat. How do you feel now versus how you felt before? And she'll be like, oh, I feel good now. I feel energized. Oh, yeah, I feel good. Great. Let's get into it. On the flip side, if a person comes in and their energy is, hi, Miles, I'm really sorry I'm late. Oh, I just finished another meeting. I'm a bit frantic today. I'm really sorry I'm late, blah, blah. I say, Susan, here's what we'll do. Before we get into the session, I wonder if you can, please close your eyes. With your eyes closed, we're going to take 10 deep breaths, deeper than you've taken all day. On the out breath, I want you to say to yourself in your mind, just in your mind, the word release. In this time, the word release is going to symbolize you releasing any thoughts, worry, stress, or tension that may be inside your body. And then we'll do the release meditation. And then I'll say, how do you feel now versus how you felt before? Susan will invariably say, I feel much better. So, okay, good. Let's get into the session. Number 4, leadership. Serving versus pleasing. Most rookie coaches are trying to be the person's friend. Don't get into the friend zone. Pleasing is telling the person what they want to hear. Serving them is about challenging them to think different. So like in the, let me give an example of this. I had a client who, he'd had business coaching and he came to me for life coaching. And I think a couple of sessions in, he said, I need to chat to you. I'm not sure if the life coaching is going to work for me. I said, okay, give me some feedback. What do you mean? He said, well, we've been working together 3 sessions and, you know, I'm just a bit overwhelmed because when I was with my business coach, all I was focused on was the business. Now I'm working with you. And now I'm focused on my marriage, my kids, my health, my business. I'm too overwhelmed. Now, the pleaser in me could have said, oh, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe we can cut back on the life coaching and focus just on business, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't do that. Do you know what I said? I actually swore, but I'm not going to swear right now for the benefit of the recording. I said, that's life. So that's life. Deal with it. You've got a wife and kids, and you've got health. You've got other things in your life that deserve 100%. The reason you came to me is because your business was growing, but other areas of your life were falling off. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your best friend. I'm here to tell you the truth. There's no good you succeeding in business and not in the rest of your life. Tony Robbins taught me this many years ago. You all want to write this down. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So don't be the coach that is only helping a person be stronger in their strong areas. Make sure they win in every area. And a big part of that's telling the truth. Be honest with them. If there's a point in this session where you feel they're out of integrity, say, permission to speak my truth. If they say, I'd rather you didn't, then don't tell them. But if they do, say, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to give you opinions. Just to be clear, this is for everybody's benefit. I'm sure our coach is going to take you through this. Is going to highlight this. Do not give opinions and do not give advice unless it's unsolicited. But if you feel that you're hearing something or you're seeing something, don't necessarily hold it back. Like I had a client, I was coaching him on his business, and it was evidently clear that his relationship at home was a problem. It wasn't good. And I basically said to him, Jeff, have you thought about dedicating more time Are there any other, I said, kind of hinted at it with questions. Are there any other areas of your life where you feel, if you're really honest with yourself, you're not performing at your best? So I haven't told him. I've hinted based on what he said. And he said, yeah, my marriage. Okay, good. So what do we need to do about that? So the best that you can, telling your truth is maybe about asking a question that helps a person come up with a different way of looking at their world. Next thing we want to do is we want to help to start to integrate new beliefs. I've already talked about beliefs. There are limiting beliefs and there are positive beliefs. We want to start to integrate more positive beliefs. We want to get people to say I more. So one of the things I found a lot of coachees tend to do is they'll say things like, you know how sometimes you just don't feel good, for example. What we want to do is we want to challenge the person to integrate that belief. And how they do it is you say to them, I hear what you've just said. I wonder how it would feel for you to say I. And then they'll say, oh, what do you mean? Say, well, what you'd say, just what you've just said, but say it as I. Oh, well, there are times where I don't feel good. What happens then is the person can take ownership for that belief. And then they're empowered to fix it. Versus if you say, you know how sometimes people just get on your nerves? That's like out there, detached, whereas associated puts you in control. I find sometimes people just get on my nerves. And then you as the coach might say, is there somebody in particular that you're referencing? Yeah, my partner. Whereas if it's, you know how, if it's out there, it's disassociated, the person can't make the change. So we want to integrate the belief. That's a really, really important thing. Okay, next, 360 vulnerability. What this means is ultimately make sure you're doing the work on yourself. One of my coaching mentors used to say to me, he said, Miles, always remember, you can only take a client as deep as you go yourself. So what that means is just make sure you're doing the work on yourself. So I am in men's therapy groups. I have a coach. I have therapy. I do shadow work. I do inner child healing work. I do this stuff. I have a business mentor. I've invested over £50,000 in mentors. I'm in business mastermind. I'm in a 20 grand a year business mastermind program right now. One of the key laws of leadership, Cialdini wrote a book called Influence. And one of the laws, the 6 laws of influence, if you want to influence people, is one is commitment and consistency. What that means is make sure you practice what you preach. Make sure you walk the walk. You don't just talk the talk. Meaning if you're going to ask people to go deep and to work on themselves, just make sure you're doing the work on yourself as well. Which basically then what that does is that creates a 200% relationship. What we want is a relationship where you're giving 100% and your client is giving 100% as well. And the only way that's going to happen is if we serve them, if we tell the truth, if we're vulnerable, if we do the work on ourselves. And then number 5 is strategy over strategy. First, strategy over tactics. I'm all for giving habits and tips and tools and tricks, but I'm even more at getting to the core of what's really going on. So you want to be really spending time thinking about what can a person do strategically to make their life better, not just tactically. For example, a tactic for a person with their health might be join a gym. That might be a tactic. A strategy would be first going, why is health important to you? Why don't we list out 20 reasons why having optimal health is a must for you now? That's more strategic than I'm going to join the gym. Because if they've joined the gym before and they didn't stick at it, that's just a tactic. I'm all for high performance habits and tactics, but they're only as good as the identity or the strategy behind them. Everybody knows what to do to get in shape, but not everybody's in shape. Why? Because common sense isn't always common practice. So let's make sure that we work on people on the strategy, not just the tactics. Next, environment. You want to encourage people, your clients, to spend time in environments with people that are more like them. The reason why I'm in business masterminds, The reason why I'm in coaching programs is because I know I'm going to be more successful if I'm in an environment with people that are more successful than me. There's a story of Usain Bolt when he was 14 years old. He got to go to the Jamaican National Stadium in Kingston, and he got to race against the then men's team that were getting ready to try out for the Olympic team. He's 14. He's the fastest 14-year-old in Jamaica. So he's pretty good. Gun goes off. Bang! Little Usain with his legs running as fast as possible, runs over the line, dead last. Gets back on the bus. He's sulking. He's sulking because he came last and he's used to winning. He sits in the bus and his trainer turns around and he looks at him, and I'm not going to do my Jamaican accent because my granddad will turn in his grave. His trainer looks at him and he says, Usain, that's why we need to stop you racing against boys and get you racing against men. Because as Jim Rohn says, who you spend time with is who you become. If you spend time with 6 successful coaches, you'll be the 6th. But at the same time, if you spend time with 6 people that are whining, complaining, negative, like not playing life at a bigger level, you'll be the 6th. Who you spend time with is who you become. Next, front loading. What we want to do early on in the coaching process is we do want to give tips, tools, habits, resources, books. You watch this YouTube video, listen to this podcast, read this book, commit to this for 7 days. Because what that will do is that gives them momentum. And when your client has momentum, they'll start to feel like, wow, if this is what's happening in the first 7 days, how will it feel if I commit? Gyms are really good at this. The best gyms I've ever worked with are really good at front loading. What that means is they make sure that when people join their gym, the first few sessions, they aren't in pain, they feel really good. So they make sure they're in and they're indoctrinated and they feel really comfortable. And then they hit them with the no pain, no gain. What I mean by that is they make sure people feel really comfortable, a bit like learning to drive. Maybe you can remember that experience. I remember I do. When I first learned to drive, the first few sessions were really easy. And then after that, it became really hard. I thought I cracked it after 3 sessions. I thought they were going to put me up for my test, and then turned out I was nowhere near ready. That's what we mean by front loading. And next kind of follows on external learning. What that means is we want to give people tips, tools, resources. We want to get them to do things outside of the coaching session. We don't want a client to be codependent. We want the client to have things that they can do outside of the coaching session so they're not dependent. And then finally, last thing is to know is that when it comes to strategy, less is better. So if you're going to suggest something on a coaching session that they should read or that they should watch, whatever you do, I perhaps recommend staying away from recommending like 3 videos in the same coaching session or 6 different podcast episodes or oh yeah, you should read these 3 books, and these are the order you should read them. We don't want to overwhelm a client. We want to keep it really, really nice and simple. Personally, I tend to steer away from, I tend to find out what their information preference is first. So if they say they're into podcasts, then I'll say, oh, try this podcast. If they say they're a reader, then I'll say a book. If they say, oh, I don't read books, I won't suggest a book because they're not going to read it. If they say, I like to learn watching videos on YouTube, then I'll send them a link to a YouTube. Or if they want to start meditating and they're not in the habit yet, I'll send them a meditation. This is a meditation on YouTube that I recommend. So it's really important that you know that less is better. Okay, good. Right. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that useful. I'm going to pass you back to the team who are going to take you through what we're going to do next.